Hi, Cynthia. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Martha. How are you?
Very good and very happy to connect with you and to have this opportunity to hear one more story of our beautiful facilitators. I've been doing several of these, and it's just like so heartwarming to listen to the journey that brings us here today to talk a little bit about how you got to the psyche world and how does Cynthia look? How do you see the transformation, the magic of choosing to integrate PSYCH-K in your daily life? So very happy
Mm,
to listen to you today.
Okay, thank you. Wow. Well, first I can say that Psych-K completely transformed my life. Like before I did even the first workshop of Psych-K, I was searching for something. I was in constant search mode for what could help me heal, some of the trauma that I lived in my life.
Mm.
Um, and I worked with a psychologist before I took the first workshop, and that was where I fell in love with Psych-K. I went to her. I'll give you a quick example of like the very first thing that made me fall in love with Psych-K was I went with her to her and I asked her, I said, doesn't matter how much money I have in the bank, I always feel broke, and I'm not sure why that is. And she did some things. She asked me some questions, and suddenly she came up with a number and she said, what happened to you at 9 years old? And I blanked, but then all of a sudden, this rush of memories came back of something that happened with a teacher when I was in elementary school. Basically, he shamed me in front of all my classmates. And I just felt this like well of tears coming up. And she put me in a Psych-K balance. And 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe after that, the tears went away. The memory became just a memory and not a charged memory. And somehow inside I knew that whatever I was feeling as far as not deserving money or that scarcity mentality disappeared. And I
Mm.
looked at her like, what is this? And that was in 2013, and that's when Psych-K first showed me the miracle of what this energy healing technique can do for someone. And so, 2 years, it took me 2 years to finally take a workshop. And, Karen Mackay, excellent instructor. I went in, I showed up at her house and I said, I came here with 2 shovels. And that's exactly what I did. I dug. And with her help, with my fellow classmates, I worked through a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. My parents died when I was young. Just I won't go into the whole list of what I worked through, but what I will focus on is just the magic of like a 2 minute balance. And I worked through trauma baggage that I was carrying around for 20 years, you know
Wow. Yeah.
um and so where do I see it in my daily life? Everywhere. I still work on myself. I still
Mhm.
do balances, probably not every day like I used to when I first did the workshops, but anytime something comes up, I know I have the tools and I
Mhm.
use them on myself constantly. And I work with my clients and my partners, as we say in the Psych-K world.
Mhm.
Um, and it's funny, it's really interesting because what I find is that a lot of the clients that show up, a lot of the partners that show up to work with me come up with they just appear and they have very similar backgrounds than I do.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
magic of
The
healing.
resonance.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so I love it. I've been working as a Psych-K facilitator for 8 years now. I actually just had my 8th year anniversary since 2015, since we did the workshops, and it was around January, February. And I can't even. I'm just eternal gratitude
Mhm.
for this beautiful process, for Rob Williams bringing this out to the world, because of it, my life is completely different, completely different.
Well, Cynthia, yes, and like I said, I've been listening to several of our beautiful facilitator sharing. And I think it's important to realize that you made a choice, right?
Yeah.
This presents itself, and then you decide, yeah, here I'm with my 2 shovels and I'm going to dig in. And I think that's the daily choice that we make with PSYCH-K, and to realize that it's a process, because yes, it's been 8 years for you, or 14 for me, or 30 something for Rob, and we keep
Right.
looking at ourselves in this amazing human experience that invites us, inspires us to that
Totally.
beautiful view inside, right? To make it shinier.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there one word that you would say represents what PSYCH-K means for you?
Hmm. I would have to say, and I know this, I don't know how this will sound, but miraculous, because every time I do PSYCH-K with myself or I work PSYCH-K with someone else, it's like, it's
I know,
always
right?
like, wow.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
8 years, 14 for you, I can imagine it's always feels like the first time I discover it. Every time I work on myself, every time I work with someone else, it feels like the very first session.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I think that that's the beauty of PSYCH-K, like, because it just, how can it be so easy? And it's that miraculous feeling that comes with it that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And I have a passion for it. And I if somebody came and came to me and say, I'll give you $100 million right now if you forget everything you learned of PSYCH-K. Absolutely not.
It just can't
I would
happen.
enjoy
Yeah.
it
I
very
think I like something that Eralp from Turkey says, our instructor there says, that he heard from somebody else. And a miracle is a shift in perception. And finally, it's a huge shift in every balance. Like you said, how do I go from something that we've been carrying for years, and with one single process, it's equivalent to years of psychotherapy. So yeah, it is miraculous.
totally.
Thank you.
Totally.
Thank you, beautiful. We'll share your information with those who are watching, and maybe one day we'll meet in person in our beautiful Colombia.
I hope so. I hope so. All right.